Hello, everybody, and welcome to GamerVision, the show where we just talk about whatever we want to talk about as
That is
long as it's good for gaming.
that is more true than ever with this episode.
This episode, um, I feel kind of bad because we've tried
You
like
promised on the internet that this was going to happen.
we plan shows, we start to schedule, we start piecing things together, and then we're like, hey, we're going to talk about this, and then something happens, like Microsoft and Activision, Sony and Bungie, or just random conversations about game preservation and how we really want to support
Yeah.
game companies by bringing their games forward. And that's actually what happened today for as far as filming this episode goes. We were going to talk about VR, but then Tony and I we started to we didn't really go down a rabbit hole as much as we like dug the entire hole
Yeah.
up and then
We were
just
the rabbit making the hole.
yeah. So this episode might be a little all over the place, but um we think it was great conversation. We we hope that you all think it's great conversation too. So
It was 35 to 40 minutes of just off the cuff random stuff that neither of us expected to come out of our mouths. Um,
yeah, like I mean we talk about a lot of stuff in this episode. The eShop, PlayStation, Microsoft, backwards compatibility.
we might
Like,
briefly touch on VR towards the end. I don't know.
yeah, I think there's some things about like eye tracking and what we would like to see with the
Holodecks.
AR technology. And anywho, we hope you enjoy this episode. Um, it is chock full of all sorts of conversations, which might get broken up into parts because I don't really know where editing will work.
There's not a lot of spots for smooth cuts and transitions
Yeah,
there.
and Scarlet, but
It
I
looks
think it's like
cool.
what
Like
open world or
the few screenshots I've seen of it look really nice,
yeah.
but it's
And
just it's more
I'm curious
Pokemon.
to see because like I really enjoy the gameplay of Legends
Arceus, yeah.
Arceus Arceus. Um, I'm just really, and I know I'm not the demographic for it, but really like a deeper story would be nice. Like it's
They're not gonna make a
yeah
deep
like
Pokemon story. That's not what that franchise is about.
yeah
Like as
like
much as people would like for them to make a mature style
yeah.
Pokemon game, they're just not gonna do it. Pokemon
I
is
mean
primarily targeted towards kids. Always has
yeah
been, always will be. It's gonna be a franchise that as much as people don't like it, they're going to eventually grow out of.
yeah, and I not necessarily like more mature themes, but just like as far as like the animation when characters are talking with each other, maybe having a character a main character that's not mute would
That'd be
would
nice. That would be a neat like change to
um
the franchise. I think it could be time for uh Pokemon characters to talk.
yeah,
That's acceptable.
and a little bit more animation between the characters other than just the almost like they're high-fiving or like they're patting each other's hand when they're handing over items or whatever.
Yeah.
Um but yeah,
Yeah,
I
small
figure
things
with
like that could make a big change. And that's
yeah
the kind of stuff that a lot of people want, but they're going to make that series for kids because that's
yeah
what
the,
Pokemon is made
the
for.
bread and butter.
Yeah.
2022 is definitely benefiting a lot from the delays of 2021
Yeah.
because so far, like this has already been a stacked year.
2021 suffered so that 2022 could thrive.
Yeah, like Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Nintendo's lineup is stacked this year.
Yeah, I'm super excited. In just a couple days, Triangle Strategy
Yeah.
releases. Elden Ring last week.
Kirby is
Horizon
later this
Forbidden
month.
West. Yeah, Kirby's coming. Um, capping off the year with Gen 9 of Pokemon.
Possibly Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, maybe God of War Ragnarok. I saw something that possibly it was a placeholder for June.
That I
I'm
doubt
not
that.
think
I doubt that.
I don't yeah, I don't see it as a June release, but yep, possibly. Gran Turismo 7 is I think next week. I know some people are, or there's been people talking about that
I
their
saw
pre-orders
something about
are
that
early.
earlier. Uh, I saw it got
Uh,
a release date, and I just saw that earlier today.
so yeah, like 2022 is just stacked. Um, and that's of just the things that we know about. Like who knows what's going to happen around or what would be E3 time.
Yeah, GT
Uh,
7 comes out on Friday.
oh, okay, so same day as Triangle Strategy. Such a crazy year. Such a crazy year. Like
Yeah. Not that I'm complaining. There's a
yeah.
lot. There's going to be a lot of stuff to play, which
Um,
is good. But my wallet is going to scream by the end of the year. So
I did see a Nintendo with their what is it the missions or the quests
yeah, I
or
got all 4 missions in about 3 minutes today because
oh,
they're very easy to do.
that's
Um, it the
I've
the thing that I don't like about the missions, anybody that hasn't heard about what they are, um, they're basically like I don't know if you know anything about Game Pass's quests that they have,
uh, a little bit like
where you know
every time I check in, yeah.
if you install a specific amount of games or you play Game Pass games, log into the Game Pass app, you get points for Game Pass that you can use to like get actual money. Like it's a really
That's
cool thing that they're doing to get you to play. First of all, it gets you to try other games that maybe you wouldn't have played because you can get
yeah.
50, 100, whatever of these points for Game Pass that you can trade in for actual credit on the Xbox store.
Which I remember. I mean, it has been a long time, but I remember when Sony was showing off PlayStation Home. I remember Sony taking the stance of like when you get trophies, you'll be able to have like
Yeah,
life-size trophies in to display in your PlayStation Home
yeah.
house or apartment or whatever. But also like being able to generate like some form of currency to cash it in.
Hmm.
And really like Microsoft, I mean, outside of now Nintendo, Sony hasn't really done that. Like
No, they haven't.
Microsoft has, Nintendo is like,
Nintendo's been doing it for a while. I mean, like Club
yeah,
Nintendo, My Nintendo. It's not great stuff that they've had, and the missions for My Nintendo don't give you great things. Like you use the platinum points,
yeah,
the platinum coins that you earn to buy things that will let you make custom avatars for the Switch, or you can download a wallpaper for your PC or your smartphone. It's simple, silly little things like that.
yeah.
If they had used these missions and given you gold coins instead of platinum coins, that would have been huge, because that's
Well,
actual money that you can use in the eShop.
yeah, and that's one thing that has you know really enticed me to get some of these games for the Switch just because like I register the game, I get gold coins, which
Yeah,
takes money off of
a
future
future purchase.
purchases.
Yeah, they
So
try to push you towards the digital. They're like, if you get the digital, you get more money because it's like 60
yeah,
coins for physical games, which is 60 cents. It's not a a huge
yeah,
amount of money per title, but if you get them digitally, it's 300 gold coins, which is $3 off of a future purchase, which is
yeah,
a much bigger deal. It doesn't take
yeah,
very long if you're buying a lot of Nintendo games to get enough to get free games from the eShop.
yeah,
So,
and
and then
and for the
every
most
once in a
part,
while they do double coins on some titles, so you can get 600 coins and get $6 off of a future purchase. Yeah, so I
uh,
like this. Nintendo's taking these tiny baby steps towards the future and the place that they need to be.
yeah,
But at least they're going that it's slow. You want to push them along a little bit, but at least they're
it's like okay,
going in that direction to get people excited and interested in using their services. Now, if only their services were a little nicer,
yeah, yeah.
because don't get me wrong,
It's
I
like
use them. I have a family plan for uh, my Nintendo or Nintendo Switch Online. I'd really like to get stuff like Captain Toad or the sports games or
Yeah.
something like those
Um,
games that you don't want to buy, but eventually, their shelf life. As much as Nintendo doesn't like to discount games, those games have a shelf life, unlike something like
well,
Super Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild. And if those titles aren't selling, throw those on Switch Online and get people interested in possibly purchasing that at a discount, or, you know, being excited about another entry in that franchise that maybe if they got this one for free, they buy the next one, stuff like that.
uh, that's like Guardian Heroes on the Xbox store. I can't. I don't think. Well, you can. Yeah,
I can
you
kind of
can
see
see
it,
the
yeah.
logo. I was gonna have this like looping in the back, but it messes with the camera,
Yeah.
so
I've
I was
played
just like,
tons
can't
of
do that.
stuff on Game Pass that I wouldn't have played normally
Yeah,
and have then gone and bought DLC for those games. Like, I don't own Minecraft Dungeons, but I have bought all the DLC for Minecraft Dungeons because I enjoyed playing that game. And because I played through the entire game for free, I wanted to support the developers in some way. And that DLC was a way to do it without having to spend $60. But at least they got like $30 from me, which they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and I wouldn't have played
yeah.
Minecraft Dungeons. And then there have been games that I played on Game Pass that eventually left the service, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to play this anymore. I should probably go ahead and buy this, and because I get a 20%
Yeah.
discount on those titles, it
Well,
makes it
and
much more of an incentive to want to buy that and keep it in your library.
it's one of those things like uh, Guardian Heroes originally came out for the Sega Saturn, but like this is a game that came out back in the 90s, got ported in the early 2000s to or mid 2000s to the Xbox 360,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple months ago it was on sale digitally for $3. Eh, because the game has already gone through all of its life cycles.
Yeah,
It is not generating any more money at its normal price point,
yeah,
or maybe maybe a couple people are picking it up at normal price, but like they threw it up on sale, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Like it's kind of an RPG brawler beat 'em up type thing that it's $3 and I'm interested in, and I got it. So it's like I would like to see Sony and Nintendo really
yeah.
like leverage the portfolios that they
They
have,
both have
and
huge back catalogs of games that
yeah,
would make a service super enticing.
like
Um,
with
and I think a lot of developers would tell you, you bought that game for $3. $3 is better than no dollars. And while
yeah.
they would much rather you buy it at full price, if you're not buying it at full price and you're buying it at
Yeah.
$3, that's better than not buying it at all. And while I don't want to see that
And
rush to the bottom, I don't want to see the mobile store crap that we've
yeah,
got where everything has to be free or nobody wants to look at it,
and
and then you have to pay to get the ads taken off or whatever. Um, I
or
re-
what Kimco does.
I really, really, or yeah, just you know, flood the market with 50 titles a month, um,
Yeah, yeah.
and see what you can
Like
get. I don't want to see that rush to the bottom. I really wish the mobile space had stuck with a premium longer than they did. Um,
yeah,
to try, even if it's like the bottom is like $5, and $5 is like the sweet spot for buying a game. I bought Mario for $10 on mobile, and that game was garbage. The game was not fun, but I wanted to support Nintendo, and I wanted to show developers that, hey, if you give me the full experience for a specific price, I'm probably going to buy it.
yeah. Well, and it's just like kind of referencing back to Guardian Heroes. I ended up getting this game for $3, like nearly 20, well, close to maybe 16 or 17 years after it was on the 360,
Yeah.
and like we've gone through two console generations in or well we've gone through one, we're in a new
Mm-hmm.
console generation, so two, since it was released on the Xbox 360. So it's like this is a title that was not going to generate any additional money, and
Yeah.
then it was put on sale, and I know of a couple people who also purchased it. So it's like, oh well, you just the deadline, all of a sudden boop,
Yeah.
oh huh. Um, But
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
just
just bought a 360 game yesterday for $15 off of the Xbox store because my friends were talking about the possibility of playing it. So while Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is not making Konami any money, they got $15 from me yesterday.
that's and like I just like I said, I really, really, really wish, and maybe we'll get to that point where Sony and Nintendo will start to really leverage, and maybe with Sony's upcoming whatever Spartacus becomes, maybe this will be the gateway
Yeah.
to a PlayStation system that actually has all generations of PlayStation. I
Even if you have
still
to
do not.
stream PlayStation 3 games, whatever.
Yeah, which I don't like that. I want to own it. Nintendo could very well turn, just completely overhaul the Nintendo Switch Online and just do like Nintendo Online
Yeah,
and have a service like you and I have talked about on the show multiple times where they could put titles on there, even if it's on like a rotating basis.
yeah,
I mean, they've done it with like Mario, what was it? Mario 35
yeah.
or
Mario 35.
yeah. They've done it with that. Like they could bring more games. Like if you subscribe to the service, then here's some brand new games or
Yeah.
relatively new games that you're likely not going to play, but hey, it's free with your service.
Tetris 99
Uh,
has generated a ton of interest and a ton of playtime from people because simply because it was free for Switch Online subscribers.
and like Tetris has its fan base, but at the same point, like how many people are necessarily buying new copies of
Yeah,
Tetris games when they come out? Nintendo could easily make kind of like a Game Pass
yeah.
equivalent.
And
Um,
things like your Guardian Heroes with you and Metal Gear Solid for me go back to that sort of piracy issue that we've talked about in the
yeah,
past, where if you make it easy for people to get games and give you money for those games at a
yeah,
decent price, they're going to do it. I could have very easily gone onto a
yeah,
website and downloaded
yeah.
Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker for free and played it on whatever I wanted to, but it was super simple. I just had to turn on the Xbox. A
Yeah.
360 game is there for purchase from
Yeah.
15 years ago on my brand new, not brand new because it's just an Xbox One, it's not a Series X or anything. But I can go onto that store. I can say, you know what, I want to get this game and I want to give you money because I want to play this game.
Yeah.
And here's the
And
money, you give me the game, and we are both happy.
yeah, like
No piracy
you make
involved, no breaking the law. You're getting money, I'm getting an enjoyable experience.
yeah,
Everybody's happy.
and it also plays into the game preservation,
Yeah,
like bringing games forward, supporting an entire portfolio prevents games from getting completely just lost to time.
yeah.
Uh, like I know when the PlayStation Store for the PSP, the Vita, and the PS3 were going to close, people made lists of games that were only available digitally on those platforms that were just going to vanish after the stores get closed. So
Yep.
literally the only way to get them would have been through some piracy means if somebody managed to get it up on a website. I don't know if anyone's made a list of like Wii U or 3DS titles that are only available digitally, but it'd
I'm
be
sure
interesting to
somebody's
see
done
kind of
it.
a list of those. Um, but like what you're saying with Peace Walker, um, it came out on the PSP, which was very notorious for being
Oh yeah, easily piratable.
broken. So many companies could learn a thing or two from how Microsoft is doing this stuff. Like they're with their backwards compatibility updates, like they're trying to kind of hold the game preservation thing on their shoulders
Yeah.
and be like, hey, we are doing what we can. It would be great if other companies, Sony, would do their
You
part.
know, the thing, you can use a GameCube controller on a Switch, right? You can
Yeah,
hook a GameCube controller. It's a brand new, and it's not like you can't just plug your GameCube controller into the Switch.
that would
But
be awesome
you
though.
can
That would
get
be.
a GameCube controller for the Switch.
Hmm.
There's a
Yep.
huge library of GameCube games that Nintendo's sitting on. I would love to play Bat and Kaitos. I would love to
Yes.
play those Fire Emblem games that are $400 on the GameCube.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not paying
Mm.
$400 to someone in Saginaw, Michigan, who just happens to have a copy sitting around somewhere. If I could just turn on the Switch, say I
Sure.
want to play Fire Emblem, whatever, Path of Radiance or something. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't remember what it was called. But
I think it. Yeah, I think because I think Radiant Dawn was for the Wii. It
um,
was like the hardest of the Fire
yeah.
Emblem games.
If I can go to the eShop, I can give Nintendo $20, and I can get Fire Emblem for the GameCube, a game that I've
Yeah,
wanted to play for 20 years and haven't because I missed it on the GameCube, and I'm not paying the
yeah,
ridiculous out of the stratosphere prices that people want for these games on the GameCube. I would gladly give Nintendo $20 for just about any GameCube game that's out there.
because yeah, it comes down to do you want to spend the $400 towards a new platform or one game
Yeah,
that
and I'm
you know
not going to get $400 worth of enjoyment out of
yeah
Fire Emblem, no matter how much I enjoy that game. It is one
yeah
of my favorite franchises of all time, but that game is not $400 worth of happy to me. Luigi's
things like
Mansion.
Skies of
I'd give
Arcadia.
Nintendo $400 for Luigi. No, don't. No, I wouldn't.
Well, I mean, it's each their own,
I
but
would give Nintendo a good amount of money for the original Luigi's Mansion on the Switch.
like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I know that they did like the remaster, but like
Yeah,
just being able to have access to the GameCube version or Skies of Arcadia or you know it just there's so many things that Nintendo and Sony can both do by leveraging their portfolio. And with the PlayStation 3, like with PS1 classics, PS2 classics, like the Suikoden titles 1 through 4 were
yeah,
put digitally on the PlayStation Store. 5 never happened because Sony stopped really supporting the digital store from before the PS4.
yeah.
And it's like I would buy Suikoden 5 digitally for $10, no problem. $20, no problem. Because if I like, luckily I've got a physical copy. But if I wanted to get a physical copy, it's just like with Fire Emblem. You're paying $100, $200 for a game that maybe, a single playthrough would be 50 hours,
Yeah.
maybe 60 hours if you, really tried to milk it. But like, not $200 worth of enjoyment out of that game.
Yeah.
Like, but
I'm glad I recorded this because we have now done a
yeah,
whole episode just off the
yeah,
cuff.
that's
Um,
I was really wondering how we were going to do an episode, and then we started talking about game preservation and just how Microsoft is doing things so well,
yeah, I
and
mean, it's an important topic to to
yeah,
keep bringing up.
yeah, because it needs to happen,
Yeah,
especially, you know, like I don't mind buying remakes. I don't mind buying remasters as long as things are continuing to get better and modernize the game, and as long as the game continues to move forward with
yeah,
with gaming. I don't really mind that as long as there's enough time in between the original release and a remaster or a remake.
yeah.
Like I think I've said previously with like the Last of Us stuff. The Last of Us hit the PS3 in I think the year before the PS4 launched, and then the year the PS4 launched, they did a remaster of the game. That is no. If the PlayStation 4 had been backwards compatible with the PS3, there would have been absolutely no reason that somebody would need to buy a remastered version of that game because the game had just released the prior year.
Yeah.
And now they're doing yet they're doing a remake of the first game, and like I just don't think enough time has gone by because they're still putting out new titles within like they just released part 2. They haven't even released the multiplayer component of part 2. Like, and you're
Yeah.
doing a
A
remake of
remake.
the
Yeah,
game that already had a remaster just a couple years ago. Like,
yeah,
but yet I am still waiting on the Legend of Dragoon to be given any amount of
yeah,
you know
yeah.
attention or treatment. Like, just, and that is 20 years now, 22 years now. Like, oh, 20.
Yeah, I would very if Nintendo came out today and said, "We're putting the GameCube library on the Switch. You're not gonna. You have to buy them. You can't. It's not a subscription service or whatever."
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, that first of all, that would make Switch Online an amazing experience
Yeah,
or
like that would.
amazing value. But if you just give me some of those games from the GameCube, put the shiny Mario Sunshine filter from the Mario package on it, just
Yeah.
so that those games are upscaled a little bit. I've played Luigi's Mansion on my computer in 1080p with shiny, pretty filters on it, and it is beautiful. Those old textures, they upscale very nicely right now. You don't have to put a ton of work into them. Just make sure whenever I hit play, the game plays. I will be very happy. And I would give Nintendo so much money at $20 a pop to
Yeah.
play GameCube games.
Well, and that's I don't know the intricacies of doing a digital storefront, but I feel like there's such a missed opportunity from Nintendo and Sony to bring their various digital storefronts onto their current platforms.
Yeah.
Like bringing the 3DS eShop, the Wii U eShop. I can't remember what the DS was it called the eShop
The
on the DS
DSi
as well?
store.
A DSi store. Like bringing those to the Switch, I think would be a great great thing
Yeah.
because people would buy content from those stores.
Yeah.
Same thing with the PlayStation Store, like the PS3, the PSP, the Vita, the PS4. Like essentially the PS4. Well, no, the PlayStation 5 is a little bit different as far as the storefront goes, but still plays all of your PS4 content. Um, but like bringing those storefronts to the modern platform, like I can understand shutting them down on the actual physical hardware
Yeah.
of the PS3 and the Vita and the 3DS and the Wii U. Like I can understand shutting them down on the physical hardware. But if somebody is booting up a Switch or a PlayStation 5, there should be a tile or an icon or something where you could be able to access these
Legacy
legacy
titles. Yeah.
online stores and
Yeah.
be able to purchase things.
Find out. Have some intern somewhere
Yeah,
put a
they've got
3D.
the money.
Have them put a 3DS game on the Switch. See if it runs. Does it run?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
it's on there.
Sell me a piece of plastic that lets me hold the Switch sideways between two Joy-Cons and
Yeah,
put the 3DS games on the Switch. I don't care
yeah,
if I have to use my finger as the stylus. I don't care if I have to spend a little bit extra money. But if I can do that, if I can basically convert my Switch to a 3DS and I can play Kid Icarus Uprising on my Switch, I will give you all the money, Nintendo.
I mean,
All the money.
man,
Like,
and
there's so many games on the 3DS that would be so nice to have access to on the Switch because either they came out late in the life, like all those Mario and Luigi remakes, and they probably didn't sell that well, and that's why that franchise is essentially dead, it seems like,
yeah,
because they let the developers go, and nobody's picked up that ball and said, hey, we are going to continue the Mario and Luigi
yeah.
franchise. Um, but it would
I
be
also,
it would be so nice to be able to just say I've got all these games from every Nintendo system throughout history, and I can play it. With the exception of the Wii, the Wii would probably be the one, not the Wii, the Wii U would probably be the one weird exception because of the two screen thing. It would
yeah.
be really hard to do those, but everything else, just put it out there. I want to give Nintendo so much of my money, and they just don't seem to want it.
They're just like, oh, you want to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars with us? Oh, we're good.
Yeah, like it may be technically too hard to do. Maybe you can't get a 3DS emulator running on the Switch.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know
yeah.
how easy or difficult that would be. It seems like it wouldn't be that hard, but I don't know.
And I had just thought the Paper Mario games would be great to bring to the Switch, like the original
Dude,
the
you put that.
N64.
I've been playing an HD version of Paper Mario on the N64. It is amazing. I would
And then like a
gladly pay
thousand
for
year
a remake
door.
of that. I would gladly pay for a remake of the Thousand Year Door, even though all you really need to do is just upscale that,
Yeah.
because that 480p, those assets work really nice in HD already. Um,
Well, and that's another thing. Like that era, like PS2, GameCube, Xbox, um, developers that weren't trying to make their stuff super realistic,
Hmm.
cell shaded graphics
Yeah,
still hold up so well today. Like Dragon Quest VIII, for instance, because they weren't going for some like super hyper realistic characters.
yeah,
They were going for a cartoony thing, and like there's that graphical style holds up so well.
yeah.
Rogue Galaxy, anything from level 5, like it just brings the stuff forward. Just allow people to spend their money on this stuff.
Yeah, I don't have to be like, okay, here, Nintendo, I'm going to prove to you that I own all of these GameCube games. Give them to me on the Switch. I will rebuy them. Like
Yeah,
this is the point where I am very okay with saying, okay, I realize that if I want to get these old games, whether it's Sony games, Microsoft games, Nintendo games, Capcom games, whatever,
yeah,
I understand that if I want these games on a modern system, I have to rebuy them. You can't do the
yeah,
Microsoft thing and just bring them all forward. You can't bring my entire library forward. I know that's not possible.
yeah.
Right now,
The-
I will gladly, if you say you give me $20 right now and you can play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door on whatever system we bring out for perpetuity. It will just
yeah,
follow you along like cell phone games do.
yeah,
I will gladly get so many games that I want to have. I don't want necessarily physical copies. I'm not a physical collector. I never really have been. I've tried. I just don't have the space or the time or the desire to have huge shelves full
yeah.
of GameCube games. But I will gladly fill up an
It's a
SD
problem.
card or a hard drive with hundreds of games that I have paid you money to have. And then they
And
just follow
it's
me for the
great.
rest of my life.
It would be phenomenal to be able to, because like Nintendo's not going anywhere.
No.
Knock on wood.
Yeah,
Um,
they're
like
not.
Nintendo's not going anywhere. Sony's not going anywhere. Microsoft is sure as hell not going anywhere. But like these companies could easily provide services that brings a vast majority of their portfolios forward, and Microsoft is doing it. Like they consistently they're you know pushing the stuff forward. And now, granted, not everything is going forward, but there's licensing issues. There's physical
Yeah,
limitations. There's you know some platforms are harder to deal with than others, like the Sega Saturn, the PS3. Like there's platforms where games were developed that it's like, okay, this is not something that's easily emulated somewhere else. But
yeah,
there are, for every one game that is so difficult to bring forward, there are hundreds of others
yeah.
that can be brought forward.
And I think
Um,
platforms like Luna and Stadia are going to show people that um, giving people access to their library when and where they want, however they want, is going to
need to
be
buy.
a huge deal going forward.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to have to buy another Stadia system. It's just not going to
Yeah.
happen. I have a game on Stadia. They're going to update that throughout the future. Granted, the subscription price is probably going to go up
Yeah.
in the future. Like that's
Yeah.
that's just a thing that's going to happen. Inflation happens. The cost of researching these things and upgrading these things, you understand that cost gets passed on to the consumer, and eventually your subscription is going to go up by $1 or two every few years.
Yeah.
Fine. Netflix just went up to $20, which is, but I
Yeah.
still have a Netflix subscription. Um, but
Still wondering exactly what else is going to happen as far as like the Netflix gaming thing. Like that's kind of gotten really quiet over the last
well,
couple of months.
it's there. I can log on to the Netflix app on my phone, and they give me access to games. It's not streaming. It is they send you to the Android store, and you can just
Oh,
download
okay.
the game for free. That's how
Gotcha.
their gaming stuff works right now. But that's another thing that I'm never whatever phone I'm using, that game is just going to follow me.
I feel like there's enough people that like while you may lose some money on it, or you may not make enough money off of like moving these games forward, the added feature set that it provides your platforms or your services gets people to buy into that ecosystem. So the hope would be it's like the loss leader mentality for retail stores. Like
Yeah,
you put something on sale that is below cost to get people in the door, and then once they're in the door, you're hoping that
that they're
your
going to
other
spend a lot of money on other stuff.
yeah, and like for me, like I will never own every game in the world. I will never have the opportunity to own the. I won't even be able to own the just the category of RPGs.
Mm,
I will not be able to own every RPG available. But whenever I come across like the Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel, I've got one, three, and four. I've got their little special editions that they have. In order for me to get the second one, I have to spend an outrageous amount of money on the secondhand market to be able to get that, and I
yeah,
just do not want to do that.
yeah.
Whereas, like, I could get it digitally and have it that way, but will this store be supported on the next go around? Will this like it's just it's just one of those things where like Amazon is pouring a lot of money into Luna, and I will
Oh,
give them a credit. Like I
they
saw
just
your
they
about
have an
it.
amazing update today, and I would spend another hour talking about the stuff that Luna's doing, because it's so nice.
But
Like
yeah,
I want to talk about VR, I really do.
I'm kind of iffy, but you know,
Like
that,
I don't own any VR. I'm not super excited about VR, but I'm
yeah,
interested in talking about it. Because there's a
yeah.
lot of interesting stuff that's going to happen in that space that's going to lead to other things that we just don't know about right now.
Like my biggest thing is if the eye tracking actually makes it easier to get into VR because like my biggest hurdle is like that 30 to 40 minute acclimation
Yeah,
process where I can't tell if I'm falling over, if I'm about to throw up, or because like I remember the Iron Man VR demo. It like throws you into you're flying around as
yeah.
Iron Man and there's just water and open spaces around you, and I'm like, wait a minute, like what am what I don't want to fall into the water, like um
The thing about VR that interests me more is not the VR tech itself. I have a really hard time with VR because I feel so closed off from everything around me. Like if I've got VR headset on and I've got headphones on so I can hear what's going on in the game, I can't
yeah
hear what's going on with my kids or if my wife needs to talk to me or whatever, and I feel completely isolated from everything
yeah
around me. And I know a lot of people go into VR because they get to get out of the real world for a while.
yeah
But I have
yeah
5 kids and a lot of animals and a wife, and I can't just completely remove myself from
yeah
everybody in the house. The thing that excites me more is not VR per se, but like the whole room VR stuff that Microsoft has shown off in the past.
like
That
HoloLens and
it a holodeck is what I want from Star Trek.
that would be so great.
We're not going to
Like,
get there anytime soon, if ever.
yeah,
I don't think that is a real thing that will ever happen. But having a space where you can project everything around you and you can interact with stuff around you while still being able
yeah,
to hear what's going on with people in the room or other parts of the house or whatever, that is the kind of thing that interests me, and VR and AR tech will lead to stuff like that, and that's what I'm excited about.
post your suggestions and comments in the or in the sections below about what you think for game preservation, the games you're playing, uh, how much you would be willing to spend if Nintendo decided to actually support their back catalog on the Switch or future platforms. Likewise with PlayStation. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I think this is a great episode 20 of GamerVision
I think so.
because we talk about almost anything that's happening in gaming right now in this one episode. This has been a super fun, a wonderful episode of GamerVision. It was completely off the cuff, no notes, no nothing. Um, and we'll see you with episode 21 of GamerVision.
Who knows what
Um,
we'll talk about there.
yeah.
See